Welcome back to We Still Like Each Other, the podcast. I'm Travis.
And I'm Stephanie.
And this is the podcast where we show that the honeymoon stage never has to end.
Ever, ever, ever. And today we are joined by two very special guests. We have Mesha of Refilling My Wallet and her husband, David. Woo! Together, they are Finance, Fails, and Cocktails, the podcast, which we will get into in a little bit. How do you feel to be on?
Excited. We've been following you guys since the first episode. I was hooked. I was like, this is it. I'm sitting in the parking lot doing Walmart pickup. Like, this never can end. I love this podcast.
Yes. So I met Mesha virtually because of the podcast. I believe Brittany Polanco shared the podcast and you knew Brittany, right? And now we've been like virtual friends. Exactly. My friend from Ohio, which is
shout outs on the podcast. I'm like, it's
me. Yes, which I love about social media is one of the positive sides of it. You get to meet people you probably would have never met before, right? So thank you for joining us. We're so excited. Your podcast is awesome. Refilling My Wallet is awesome. So I'm excited to get into that a little bit for our listeners.
Thank you so much for having us. We're really excited.
Of course. David, how are you feeling? I feel like I don't know you as much.
We usually don't do video for ours, so this is
okay.
No, it's excited. Thanks for having us on. Looking forward to it.
You feeling a little camera shy?
I know David. David has a new car.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah, we know that. We know that about David. Would you mind telling us, like, what do you two do for a living?
Yeah.
Besides exist, living is important, but, that question of what do you do?
Yes. So I work for a nonprofit and I'm a contracts representative. So basically I do like the non-disclosure agreements for them, negotiate them. It sounds a lot fancier than it is.
I was going to say, it sounds a little boring.
I'm good at it, but it's not like exciting. So
okay.
My job's probably boring then too. So I'm a processor at a title agency. So basically for people buying and selling their house, we do all like the back end work to get everything together and for the signing of buying and selling.
Okay. I'm sure both of your jobs are interesting when you're doing it. It's just like the language kind of sounds like, what? To someone like me, I'm a teacher. That's like basic. Like, okay, you would know what a teacher does, right?
Yes.
But then it's like title management, all this other stuff. I'm like, what?
Reading it to people is like, okay, I don't know what that is. I'm like, I should just make up a new job.
All right. So Mesha, could you tell us a little bit about what Refilling My Wallet is?
Yeah. So Refilling My Wallet is an Instagram page, and I started it to be a part of the debt-free community, which is like a very specific group of people who are like working towards debt. And I started it because we had $104,000 in debt.
Okay.
Yeah. Which, a lot of people have six-figure debt, but it's like, oh, well, I'm a lawyer or I'm, a doctor. So it's all medical debt. Ours was like 30 grand in credit card debt.
That happens. We've been there, right?
It just, a lot of people weren't posting that kind of stuff. And so I was like,
okay,
is missing this. So I went ahead and started that.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you feel like it helped you kind of stay accountable?
Definitely. It definitely is like a small driving force in things. I know that so many people are watching me. So I'm
gotcha.
Okay, like I am pretty honest on there though. So I'll be like, I'm giving up Target for the rest of the year. And then I've been to Target twice this week.
I was going to say, I saw that you went to Target this week and he's like, I know.
And I don't even like make excuses anymore. Like, okay, guys, like you need to understand, like I'm a human now. I went to Target. Like, yeah.
But do you feel like it's almost too much pressure?
I would say so. And we can talk about it more with like when he got the car, like that was like a really big fear and anxiety moment for me because I was like, what are these people going to think?
Oh, so speaking of that, David, did you ever feel uncomfortable with Mesha having this page, putting all of your finances out there on social media? Like, did that ever cause you any type of anxiety or anything?
Not too much. I actually almost like it better because it's made me more comfortable talking with our friends and stuff about finance. Openly, for this page, we probably didn't really do that. So now if people ask me, I just tell them straight up what it is. Yeah, not really.
Okay, good. All right. So then now David's decision was the beginning of Finance Fails and Cocktails.
Yes, David.
Were you planning on doing the podcast before David made that decision?
Yes. So we had we bought the mic and we're like, okay, we're going to do this podcast. We're going to talk about all of our finance fails because you don't get into $106,000 in debt or $104,000 in debt without making a lot of mistakes. And then I just felt like him buying the car was the kickoff episode.
Gotcha. Definitely. So your latest episode was about your renter journey. So I feel like that is something we can totally relate to. We've lived in 1, 2, 3, 4. This is our 4th apartment.
4?
Yeah, because downstairs here.
Oh, cool.
And then we also had 6 months in my dad's house in between that. So we definitely can relate. But there's one story that we have to share with you.
Oh, we're ready.
So the first apartment we lived in together was a shit show. You want to explain how that one was?
So it was a 2-family house, and the landlord didn't give a fuck about the house. It was just like, you live here, pay my rent. And there were family upstairs. I won't say too much about them because...
But the landlord didn't give a shit about the place because when I got the apartment, I had just started working. I didn't even have work history. As long as we had the money to pay, there was no credit check or anything. It was just one of those situations.
It was?
Huh?
You remember how much it was?
$1,500.
Okay.
And this was 7 years ago, 6, 7 years ago.
And you were living there before I met you.
Yeah, so that's why that average for New York. This was 7 years ago. My rent was $1,500, so that was some bullshit. But yeah, we decided it was time to go.
Yeah, and we didn't have much money saved up.
Nope, terrible.
We didn't have any money saved up.
Yeah, we were basically living paycheck to paycheck.
And I forget how we found this guy.
So there was a sign on a storefront and it was like, apartments for rent, inquire within. So I go in and the guy's a smooth talker. He's like, oh, don't worry. You both have jobs? Okay, no problem. I'm going to help you get this loan so you could pay the first month's rent, first month's deposit, and you'll be good. And
don't worry, I know someone at the bank.
Yeah, he made it seem like he was helping us get a loan, right? So with that, he gets a fee, right? We pay him a fee to get the loan. So we're like, okay, we're broke. We're desperate to get out of this crappy apartment. And we're like, okay. And then how does it go from there?
So he takes us to the, what was the bank?
I think Popular Bank.
Popular Bank. It's a bank out here in the Bronx. And we go, we fill out the information, and he's just with us the whole time and basically saying how he represents us.
But we notice when we get there, it's like if Travis and I just walked into any bank and asked for a personal loan.
There's nothing special. There was no handshakes. It wasn't like
he didn't know anyone there.
Haven't seen you in a while. So we did all that.
So as we're filling out the information for the loan, I start to notice something isn't right with this guy. And I asked the banker, and I'm like, does he work with you all? Who is? She goes, I don't know who that guy is. So I don't say anything. I kind of keep it to myself. And when we get the loan, they ask, do you want it in cash or a check? And
So Stephanie was quick thinking here.
Yeah. And I was like, I want a check. Because if we had the money in cash, he was going to be expecting his cut for nothing. It's like if I said, Mesha, here's this application for a loan. Now you owe me 10% of it.
Right.
Just because I directed you to it. So then we basically were onto him and we threatened him you're basically conning us to get a chunk of this money. And he was trying to swindle his way out of it. He had all these stories, these connections, and he was really trying to press us for $500?
I think a family friend had to call him and curse him out. And I went and got all our information, our social security and stuff like that. And we were done with it. And we had the loan. So we were just
But not that was a good idea, taking out a loan to get an apartment. That's a whole nother discussion for a different day.
Yeah. But we moved and we were happy.
We did. We ended up finding a really nice apartment.
Which was $1,750 or something?
It was $1,650. It was humongous.
Too big.
Too big, yeah. But it was also another crappy building. But again, story for another day. Have you ever been conned when it comes to money and finances? Do you have a finance fail that's related to someone trying to take advantage of you?
Why are you saying ooh like that?
So when you bought that thing online and then you have it disputed?
Okay, so you know those Instagram ads where they're like anything?
The ones most people ignore?
Yes. So I am a marketer's dream. Like, I will buy anything that's like, you'd be like, oh, this looks really nice. And I'm like, oh, yep, add to cart. Like, I have no idea, like, what is a good thing to do or not. And so I was like looking at these really cool sunglasses. They weren't much. I don't think they maybe were like...
It was like 10, 15 bucks.
And I like put in my information. It's this very sketchy website. And like, I was like, send, and I was like, what did I just do? Like, it was I was like, oh my God, I have to tell David, like, I just got conned out of this money, because there was no way. Like, I didn't get a tracking number for the glasses. No one was contacting me. Like, the emails would bounce back. Just like, hey, I don't know where this money went. Like, it's gone. And David was like, I have to go to the bank and call.
I worked at the bank that she used the card.
Were you embarrassed? Like, Mesha did this
weird call, like, from our internal phone line, like, David, you're disputing thing. What's up? And I'm like, oh, let me find out about that.
Like, no, she was putting that in, and it's like, yeah, I did this willingly. Like, nobody stole my information. I just gave it like an idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They called me and they were like, so she knowingly gave it. You can't really dispute that. But they're like, since you work here, we're going to take care of it for you.
Yeah. My sister, one time, someone called her and asked for her bank information, and they were pretending they were calling from the bank. Like, there's some suspicious activity, so we need you to confirm your account number. And they like emptied out her checking account.
Oh my gosh.
People are on the prowl.
But that is crazy. Like, and so those people who do that are so pathetic. Like,
yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're gonna move on to our next topic, but before.
Oh yeah, I have a Did You Know, my new segment.
Travis, go ahead. What's your Did You Know for today?
So I picked this Did You Know because you two are coming on.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
So did you know arguing over finances early on doesn't bode well for the marriage? It may not be the sexiest premarital convo, but talking about money issues now rather than later could save you a world of headache. In 2013 study, researchers at Kansas State University found that early finance-related arguments are the top predictor of divorce.
Ooh.
What's more, this was true across income and wealth levels. That's your cue to pour a glass of wine and start talking financial histories and money expectations. What do y'all think about that?
I 100% believe that. It shocks me how many people will go into like a long-term relationship and not ever talk about money. And like, I know people who have been like, yeah, like I have like $10,000 in debt, but my husband thinks that I paid that credit card off. Yeah. And I'm like, listen, this is going to come out and it's not going to be good. Like, and every time it comes out, it's never good. Like, just talk about it.
Shout out to Cindy of Zero Based Budget. She said, you know, people will talk about everything else except finances. They'll talk about sex, ex partners, everything, but finances is on the hush.
Exactly. I feel like it's because people are embarrassed. Like, I feel like at any point they're like, I made some bad mistakes and now I'm embarrassed to talk about this and I don't want to be judged for this. So I'm just not going to talk about it and we'll deal with it when it comes up.
So you two have been together since you were young. Has like the finance talk been something you've been doing forever? I mean, obviously you racked up that debt, but were you aware of it while you were racking it up?
I feel like we got into debt together. Like, it was like, you jump, I jump. Like, we're going to get in this debt and it's fine. It was a terrible mindset to have, but like, don't do that. But we have been talking about money, I feel like, since we lived together.
Yeah, basically since we moved to California. So
before you moved to California, how long were you already together?
Okay, so we started dating in 2008. and we moved to California in 2015.
Yeah.
So
okay,
7 years.
Also, we were high schoolers, and then we went to college. So like, we kind of talked about money with what little we had, you know, like, oh, well, can you get this dinner? Because I don't have any money. It's like, oh yeah, can you get this dinner? So it was like very light. And then
once we moved in like officially together, when we moved to California, that's sort of when we really had to talk about finances together.
And it would be like, oh, my credit card's maxed out. Can you? This is not the way to be. Like, I want to make that very clear. Like, don't do this. But
yeah.
At least
But when you don't know better, you can't do better.
Exactly.
You kind of both were like figuring it out and learning and making those mistakes at the same time.
Yeah.
Yes.
For us, I feel like we kind of, when we met, we were like a little older. I was like 24. You were like 26. And we both had a little bit of debt that was like manageable if we realized there was, debt and we looked at it as debt and not like, oh, this credit card I could pay off next week. But then when we got together, it got exponentially worse. It was like,
dinners, clothing, vacations. And it's just like, all right, how much, it's similar to what you're saying, like, oh, you have $20 left on your balance, swipe your 20, then I'll take my credit card.
And then we would pay like $300 on our credit card, but use that extra $300 to like get groceries, like basic things. It was like terrible.
Yeah.
We know what you mean.
A lot of people do that though. A lot of people use their credit card simply for like regular living expenses, like groceries. We did it. And it was like, okay, well, I don't need to budget for groceries. I just need to pay off my credit card a little bit so I can swipe the card for groceries.
Sure, I can swipe it. And then not even realize how much interest we were paying.
Yes.
Like my big credit card I had at the time was my Gap. It was a Gap store card. Why the hell did I do that? I still have it now and I use it correctly, finally. But at the time, the interest rate was like almost 25%, like 24.9 and change. And then I would think like, oh, I have all these Gap rewards, but I paid so much in interest. It's like, not really.
Yep.
They conned me into thinking I was getting a deal.
Same. That was my Best Buy card. Like, I was like, oh, I got this TV and this subwoofer. My place is set up. Like, nobody cares. And now I'm like, don't worry. I have a $20 payment. Everything's going to be fine.
That wasn't even covering the interest, probably.
Exactly.
Nope.
And there's like a little spot on your statement that's like, oh, if you pay the minimum, it's going to take you this long to pay off your debt. And mine was like, if you pay just the minimum, it's going to take you 33 years to pay off your debt.
Like a damn house.
But you had that subwoofer though.
Exactly. I'm like, come on.
So now that we're talking about like the finances, you recently decided, even though you've been together since 2008, you just recently decided to split your finances. Why? What happened?
I decided to get a car.
Okay.
And she basically was like, I don't want to pay for your new debt.
Because he financed the car. Let's make that very clear. Finance.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Most people do. But I'm in the debt-free community. So like financing a car, and he got an Audi. Like he didn't get like a Honda Civic. He got an Audi, and his car was fine and paid off.
Ish.
Stop.
So I was listening to your first episode when it first launched, and I was at work. Stephanie was at home, and I think we were listening at the same time, but she was a little further ahead. So I was listening, and your reasoning for getting the new car, just as far as like technology has changed a lot, I was like, I agree. I totally agree. And then I called Stephanie. I was like, I don't see what's the big deal. And then she's like, did you get to the part about how much debt he has already? I was like, oh, wait, no, I didn't get that.
So, okay, David, keep telling us your story, your point of view.
So, yeah, basically, like, my car had 150,000 miles on it. It did have some issues, like the wipers, the, like, spray would not come out. So, in the winter, you could, like, spray off your windshield to clear it. So, that was sort of annoying. And then the door locks, every time you hit 10 miles an hour, they try and lock. So it just has some flaws that I felt like it's going to start costing me a lot of more money to keep this car going. Mm-hmm. And at this point, I was like researching cars for probably a year. It was like an obsession. It was pretty bad. I think she wanted to kill me like 3 times last year. So finally, I was like, you know what? We're in a financial position. Yes, I have to finance it, but I can afford that financing. So I was like, pull the trigger. I'm tired of looking at cars online. It's time to do it.
And to be 100% honest, I was Team Mesha on this all the way. I definitely agree with you wanting a new car and needing a new car, but I was like, they were on track to just get to 0. Like that moment would have been so like euphoric to like hit $0 in debt before you got the car. Like you couldn't hold out just a little bit more.
It like shook me to my core, and I tried everything. Like I wanted him to pay cash for the car. Now to pay cash for this car is like 30 grand. And he was like, that's going to take forever to save up, like with everything we're trying to do. And I was like, it's fine. We'll put a couple $100s a month aside. Like, it'll be like, you're working towards something. This is a great plan. And he did try. He tried for like a year. And when he says like, oh, I would go into wanting a car and go out, he would test drive cars like every couple of months. There was like
he had an itch.
Yeah,
he brought a BMW home for like 24 hours. I was what?
Tesla. We rented a Tesla for 2 weeks or 2 days.
He technically signed up to buy a car from Carvana and was like, the car was here for a week, and I was like, I can't deal with this anymore. But basically, I was like, look, if you want this car, you are a grown man. You make money, you contribute to the household. You're not a bum. It's not like he's like a crappy person. He just really wants this car. And while I still can't see like the value in it, I felt like me saying no was like very close to being like financially withholding. And I didn't want to be. So I was like, the balance, the compromise is you get the car, you take care of your debt, I take care of my debt, and we're going to split finances. We're going to stay married happily.
Yeah. You still like him?
I still like him. As soon as we split finances and as soon as he got the car, it was like a weight was lifted off of me. And I was like,
I think both of us.
I really was like, I like you even more now because I can like, we found a compromise that works for us.
Yeah. And now he doesn't have that thing that he's kind of a little upset with you about. Like he can't have this car. So that is gone. That is eliminated.
How does it feel for you, David, now having the finances split?
It's sort of bittersweet because like it's sort of annoying to be like, you owe me this for this. Oh, I'll get dinner this time. You get dinner next time. So that's a little annoying, but it is sort of nice where like she went to Target, you know, bought whatever she bought, and I'm not like, what did you buy at Target for $100? It is nice, and you know, I guess you sort of feel like you have a little more freedom. Not that we like discuss every purchase with each other, but now it's like if I want to go do it, I just do it, you know.
Yeah.
Are you still paying off debt?
Yeah, so still paying off debt. We're almost
ish. You are ish.
Yeah.
Like he's mostly focused on like
the car.
Yeah.
And then I'm focused on like all of my debt, which is like 12 grand now. So.
Oh, that's like nothing.
Exactly.
See, I feel if it were us in the situation, what would you think we should do?
You know, I feel like David in the sense that it would make me sad if I'm driving around something that I'm not enjoying, especially, you know, living in Ohio. I'm sure you use your car way more than I ever would in New York.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that sense of like, all right, I'm a man, I make money. So I'm with you on that. It is a little hard to swallow just knowing how much debt you already had, but I totally get wanting that new thing.
And it's not that y'all had that much debt. I feel like the issue is like y'all were so close to being out of it. So I probably would have not expected David to pay cash for a car, but I would have at least been like, let's zero out this first before we get into one. But that's just, you know, everybody has to make their choices what feels right for them in the moment. And
we've definitely had some discussions that have led to us saying, no, you do your own thing with finances, I'll do mine. And I'm always like, no.
Yeah, I've gotten frustrated before and been like, I'm going to just have my money, you have yours, but then we never do it.
I feel like it did take us a while to like, because he had to buy the car. Like, that was the only thing that was going to split our finances. Nothing else really was going to make us do that. And so, like, once he got the car and split, I was like, all right, well, I'm going to live on my own. And not live on my own. I'm going to live on my own finances, I should say.
Yeah. Do you think once the car is paid off, like, do you think you'll ever go back to it? Is this temporary, or is this like moving forward, it just feels better this way?
I think it's temporary. Do you? He probably thinks it's temporary too.
Yeah, I think so. I think we came to agreement is like if I paid the car off in like 6 months or a year, we had combined back.
Okay.
If it takes longer than that, maybe when I'm debt free, we'll take
that. I think knowing Mesha, once you hit 0, you're gonna be like, I gotta go back and get my husband.
Yeah, I'm hoping for it.
I'm glad you're here, because when we told people, they were like, boo, like tomato, like you guys are probably gonna get a divorce. I'm like, you guys need to calm down.
It's not that serious.
I was like, do you think like this podcast was the moment we decided this? Like, no, we weren't like, okay, on the podcast, we're gonna split finances. I've discussed this for a long time. Like, we've been doing it for a couple of weeks actually. So I was like, we're fine.
And trust me, I have single friends. It's scary out there. This is not worth a divorce. Trust me.
Exactly. No, because I'm with you. I see my single friends. I'm like, man, these men out here no.
Yeah, it is not a nice world for single people out there right now. So no, it's okay, David.
I still like you. We can. All right, maybe I'll come back for you. Maybe I'll help you out.
All right, good. So my next question, for some reason, we think like we're like older millennials. Like, I'm 31, Travis is 33. We do have listeners that are like in college and like madly in love with their partner, and they'll send us messages and ask us for advice. And we kind of feel like those parents that are like, oh, y'all so young. Like, oh, we don't even know what to say. We're like, we want to tell them like, don't take it too serious, live your life. But then we don't want to be pessimistic. Just like when people find out we've only been married almost 6 years and they're like, oh, wait and see. Yeah. You're not going to be this happy later on. So we don't want to be negative to those listeners, but we honestly can't relate. We don't know what to say. Mm-hmm. So what advice would you give to young couples? Because I know you've been together since high school.
Yes. Okay. So I think, as cheesy as it is, the one thing that's like really important is you need to know how to communicate with your partner. Like, how are you arguing? Because if you're out here doing low blows and yelling and screaming, like that's not a productive argument or discussion. Like, you need to figure out how to do that. And if the person you're with isn't like working to change towards that, it might not be compatible. I think that's important, cheesy and important.
Yeah. I think to build on top of that, one thing my uncle actually told me a couple of months ago, I think is very true, is he's like, if the conversation is over for one person, but not the other, that conversation is not over. Just because like I've moved past it and she hasn't, we got to get her past that to both be on the same page for those types of things.
Shout out to your uncle.
That's the advice I've heard, because I'm very much like, I can move past it and just put it out of sight, out of mind.
That's Travis.
To me, it's never, I don't care how serious it is. It's never that serious. Like, I love you. We're going to be together. Let's go watch this movie.
Exactly.
I'm more fiery. I will say like being married has helped me be a little less, like, I know like we're together. We're going to be together. So I can't let anything get too serious. Like, we have to work it out. And if I want to be happy, I can't let myself like go over the top. Mm-hmm. But me in high school, me in college, I don't know if I would have been the same person.
Right. No, I get that. I think it's hard because like there are probably moments when we were in high school and we were in college that we probably should have broke up. But like there's definitely things that happened that I was like, we both ended up letting that go, but I don't know. Like if it was me today or if I saw someone else going through that, I'd be like, no, like don't. And is it petty? Like, oh, I dyed my hair purple and he was like, I don't like this purple. Like, nah, and it's like, okay, like would I tell someone to leave someone over that? No, but it was part of us like growing and learning how to communicate with the other person. And the other really important thing is your partner should respect you, like no matter what. And there are people who are in relationships who are like, oh yeah, he doesn't respect me. Like he knew I had my friend's baby shower to go to, but he went out and got drunk and then couldn't watch the kid and did all this stuff. And it's like, that person doesn't respect you or value your time. Like,
yeah,
what do you want to do about that?
Absolutely.
I think one good thing too, like since we were in high school, we were dating, college we dated, we really, it's sort of cool because we really got to grow with each other and we both like matured together. So I mean, we experienced a lot of milestones together.
And it's almost like you had to fall in love with every stage, high school, college, adulthood.
Did you go to college together? Like in the same
No,
school?
we went to, like, I went to Ohio University. He went to Miami University, which is also in Ohio.
Oh, I thought you said Miami.
That's what it is. Yes.
The real Miami, as we say.
Miami of Ohio.
Okay.
Our schools were about 2.5 hours apart, but we didn't have cars. So it was a long distance relationship for like 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So then how do you feel, like if you could describe your relationship in high school, in college, post-college, like in one brief sentence, like how do they change throughout those phases?
I feel like they are consistently growing. And you can either grow with someone or you can grow apart from them. Both are okay, but like you just have to know like when you're growing apart from them or when you're actually growing together and working together and going towards the same path.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we definitely are, both of us, different than we were in high school as a couple versus now.
Yeah.
And we've been able to grow together over the years.
Do you have any friends that are like, wow, you guys are still together?
I feel like new people are usually surprised when they hear we've been together for 14 years. But like our friends are like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Like
y'all made for each other.
Yeah.
Did you ever? So I know for me, college was wild. Like in terms of
tell us more.
Like partying, relationships, situationships, sex. Like, did you ever feel like being together, you kind of missed out on some experiences?
Okay, I feel like there's one part of our story that you should know.
Okay.
Happened in the summer of 2010.
Okay.
It's funny you mentioned those experiences because our senior year of high school, I told her, I was like, when I go to school, I want to have the college experience. So I don't think we should stay together. So what ended up happening is I couldn't man up and break up with her. So she actually broke up with me because she knew I wanted that. So we had a little 2-month stint where we weren't together, but we practically talked every day. And it's like we were not broken up. We were just separated by distance.
I do think I had more college experience in that 2-month time.
Okay. You took advantage of it, Mesha.
But do we think we missed out? I mean, probably. Like we missed out on the being single. But even now, it's kind of like, oh, I wonder if I would be good at Tinder. I wonder if I'd be good at Hinge. Single people don't like when you say that because
they're like, oh, it sucks.
I'm always like, oh, I wonder if I'd be really good at it. Like, it's not a game. But when you're in a relationship and you're seeing these people ooh, swipe, swipe, swipe. It's like, oh, that looks fun. But if we missed out, which we probably did, I'm okay with it because I feel like we're happier.
It was worth it.
Yeah.
Definitely. We have those conversations but we're more so thank God we're not on Tinder right now. Like, Jesus, I'm so happy. I'm not dealing with that. But yeah, we get these listeners that are so young and we're like, we don't want to sound like old people that are telling them, go live your life. Don't be tied down, because that's not fair. But even we got engaged within 8 months and married 4 months later. I feel like if one of my friends right now was getting engaged 8 months into meeting a guy, I'd be like, why? No, are you sure? Like, it's weird to do what we did and agree when other people do it. Does that make sense?
100%. Like, there were family members who told us, like, you guys probably shouldn't get married. You're really young. Like, just wait and, do this, that, and the other. And I was like, I don't care what you say. Like, I'm going to do it. But
how old were you?
We were 22. We were 22.
Yeah. Also, like right after college?
Yeah. So, or 2 years. So, yeah, 23. So, like, as an adult now, I understand why, like, a person would say that.
Yeah.
I like it at the time. No.
We're about to invite this person our way.
But, like, it is hard when you're, like, looking and you're like, I have different eyes, like, to see this relationship. But it's hard to, like, understand a relationship unless you're in it. Like, it's hard. So
I think the other thing, too, for the young people, it's like, it's okay if you grow apart. Like, that happens. That's a part of life. Like she was saying, you can either grow together or you can grow apart. And if you grow apart, it's not the end of the world, maybe that relationship, like, had a purpose for you. So that's okay. So I don't like the, like, fear of, like, oh, well, if you marry, you might get divorced. Who cares? It happens. Like, for that time, you needed that person.
Exactly. I try to stay true to that. And even with our show, like, we still like each other. That's why we're together. If we don't like each other eventually, and obviously we don't mean like if we have a disagreement tomorrow, we're going to break up. But if it's a consistent, battle, if we're not enjoying each other for a certain amount of time, it's going to be over. And we know that, and people are like, oh, that's so pessimistic. Why'd you get married if you know you might divorce? I'm like, we have a long life to live, and I'm not going to live the last 30 years of my life miserable if we aren't happy. And we want to be together for now. But if that changes, we know it's not the end of the world,
Yeah,
exactly. I feel like people get so hung up on the number, like, oh, we've been together for this many years. And it's like, are you happy? Like, are you most of the time happy in this relationship? Because if you're not, what are you doing? How is this serving you in a beneficial way? Like, go be happy with someone else.
When we had Brittany on? We were talking about, we were connecting that, like, we've been together for this many years to debt. Like, we already spend this much. We might as well keep it going, especially when it comes to, like, weddings or vacations, right? Like, you're like, I already spent $1,000 on the flight. I might as well get a massage and eat caviar while we're out here too. Like, we're making it worse just because of the time we already put in or the money we put in.
Exactly. Don't do that. Which is probably, like, very direct advice, but I don't know. Like, if you are not happy, like, why are you there? Yeah. And not that it has to be perfect all the time, because no relationship is, but, like, are you working together? Are you figuring things out together? Or are you just in a toxic relationship most of the time? And sometimes we go to dinner and it's nice. Like,
yeah. No. So 14 years together, pretty much grew up together, and now you have to raise a human. How did that change things? Because you only had each other for so long. How has parenthood kind of changed the dynamics of your relationship?
I feel like when we had Ellington, that's our son.
How old is he now?
He's 11 months.
Okay. It's almost his birthday.
His birthday, which is crazy. But, like, I remember before I had him, I was like, David, you need to read these books. You don't know this and that. And, like, you don't understand. Because I'm, like, on blog, on Instagram, I'm, like, reading everything. And I'm like, you need to prepare yourself. And the Ellington arrives, and David was just, like, perfect. Time to get up. Got to feed him. Got the bottle. Like, he was amazing. And I'm over here like, I can't do this. I want to be a mom. And I feel like watching him become a dad, and, like, care for our son and care for me, because there were times when I would like just sob and he's like, you need to go to sleep. Like,
and you're not a crier, so you're not.
I would be sleep deprived and just like tears fall. He's like, go to sleep. Do not come out here. I'm going to take care of Ellington and you'll be fine. So I
That's Travis.
I slept for like an hour and I got up. I'm like, I'm ready. I'm dead.
I can relate.
Even I work from home on Thursdays and Fridays, and Steph gets to sleep in. I'll take Eli to school, and she's just like, that extra hour was everything.
Everything. Like, it feels so good. Like, I look forward to Thursday morning. Oh, it's the best.
It's so important to, like, when you have a kid with someone, that this person is a partner in this with you. And David, like, even just solidified that even more. It's like, we're here together. We're doing this together. Like, I am an equal part in taking care of this. So
yeah, I feel like I've heard Steph say numerous times, it's like, I don't know how single mothers do it.
I give it up to them because I would lose my shit.
Same. Single moms or like moms with shit dads. Like,
period. Exactly. Because there's some dads that just exist in the space.
I'm trying to find a single mom at this point. Like, leave him and just do this on your own because he's not contributing at all. And
exactly. You know me. I'm team. You could get another man.
Do it, and they'll do it better. Like, let's go.
Exactly. Or when someone's like, "Oh, Travis is with him," or "Where's the baby?" Like, where do you think? Like, his dad's here.
Like, come on, like, someone else helped me make this kid. So
exactly.
What about for you, David? How do you feel this, having Ellington has changed you or your marriage?
When we first had him, one thing I sort of struggled with is like time. I felt like I didn't have much time to like give to her. So I think that sort of changed it because, the time you work, you get home, you take care of the kid. Then it's like 8, 9 o'clock at night. You sort of just want to chill and relax. So I think that was part of it. So I don't know. You sort of sometimes you gotta pick and choose. Like, okay, what's gonna get neglected? What do I need to focus on maybe this day or this time? So that definitely has changed it a little bit. But we're figuring that out, I think.
Time for us is a struggle. We always want to go to bed early, and we're still getting to bed like at 11, and we're exhausted. And we're like, River's been sleeping for like an hour and a half. We should have been asleep too, and we just can't get it down yet. And he's about to be 8 weeks.
It's hard because like you put him to sleep, and you're like, okay, well now I got to clean up this house. I got to wash any bottles, or I got to pump. I got to do, and it's a lot. And then boom, River's awake again. Like, you're like, where did the time go? I didn't get time to do anything. I have to take a shower still. Like, It is so
I have a 2-part question here.
Ready?
One is, was Ellington planned? And 2, do you see yourself having more children?
Yes. Ellington was planned. No, I will never do this again.
She's like, absolutely not, right?
No.
Maybe. We're still debating.
With his second wife, maybe, but it's not me. I love Ellington, and like I'm so happy he's here because we planned for him, and it's really exciting. The newborn life is not for me. I could maybe see myself adopting in the future or something like that, but it's not going to be me. I did not enjoy pregnancy. I was in pain constantly, and the newborn life I just can't imagine doing that again. And I wrote everything down, so I will never forget.
You're going to keep reading and reminding yourself.
Yeah. Anytime I'm like, oh, maybe, I'm like, let's see. December 3rd, this is what
Yeah. I thought Eli, my almost 8-year-old, would be my only for a while. We're going on 6 years married, and we just had River. We thought we were done. Like, we would talk about it and weigh the pros and cons, and we were always like, nah, we're not doing it.
Like, let's go out to dinner.
But then, we changed our mind in one night and made a baby in one night. So it was crazy. One shot and done. So we kind of made our bed and laid in it. And we don't have any regrets, obviously, but I totally understand you're thinking right now.
Is it mostly because of the pregnancy? How's Ellington as a baby?
Ellington's a great kid. I mean, like he's he sleeps and then we feed him. I feel like they get really exciting around 3 months is when they kind of start like, ooh, like you can do something. And that's more than me just like taking care of a plant where you like
that newborn stage. No, I agree. We had our 6-week checkup. And the doctor's like, is he smiling a lot? I'm like, not really. Is he following you with his eyes? I'm like, no, not really. And I wanted to say no, but then I didn't want her to think something was wrong with my kid. So I'm like, a little bit. I'm like searching. And then she's like, you got to talk to him. And I was like, oh my God, did I already fuck him up? Like, he's not doing any of this stuff. But he's only 8 weeks. And little by little, he does a little more.
Even since that appointment, he's been doing a lot more of the stuff that she asked about. So it's like, you just have to, every kid is different.
Yeah.
Every kid is different. And they all get to the milestones. And I feel like there's a lot of pressure on people like, oh, is your kid walking yet? Is your kid? And it's like, no, my kid will do what my kid does when he does it. Like, leave me alone.
Exactly. And then when you have other kids, it's like you do the comparing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Eli is already almost 8, so I feel like I've forgotten a lot of his newborn phase, so I can't compare too much. But I do remember Eli always being super advanced. Like any appointment when the doctor would ask about milestones, it was always like, yep, he's doing that, he's passing this. So now I'm just like, is he smiling? Is he looking at me? I don't know. Did I mess him up?
He's my son. He'll be all right.
Right. I'm like, he probably just has Travis like resting bitch face already.
That's his twin, right?
Yes, his twin. Even though my mom swears that she sees me when she looks at him as a baby. She's like, I need to find the baby pictures, which is, our kids are going to have, baby pictures. We're going to just open our phone, where my mom has to go find a box with like old albums. I'm a little jealous of our kids because of that.
It's so easy now. Imagine parenting without the internet.
Oh my gosh.
Or an iPad.
No. Eli, I will say the iPad saved my life, because at the time in my life when I had Eli, I was super busy. I was trying to finish school, and like the iPad saved me. But then it's like now there's all this like no screen time, like take the kids away and it's gonna fuck them up and all this. And I'm like, Eli's fine, and he definitely was on that iPad a lot. But I do want to do things different.
Exactly. I was gonna say there's so many nuances with it. It's like every kid is different. Every kid, maybe one kid is like reading on the iPad, and one kid is doing this and the other. So they'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'm like, I want to limit River's screen time a little bit more, but because I can, I'm home with him. It's different. I actually have the option to do so. So like, I can't beat myself up for Eli being an iPad kid when I had no choice.
Exactly.
Like, in order for me to make money and take care of myself, like he needed it at the time. Whereas like now it's like, all right, don't be lazy, bitch. Take the iPad away from him. Any last thoughts?
No, I mean, I love you guys. I feel like I know you already. So it's it sucks that we don't live closer.
Yeah.
Because we would have definitely hung out already.
Yeah.
But I'm proud of both of you. So
yes. And also before you go, tell us a little bit more about your show and where people could find you, because I'm sure people are gonna want to definitely hear more from you too.
Sure. So I'm at Refilling My Wallet on Instagram. David is only on the podcast. He doesn't do social media, which I know Travis was like, what?
well, but before you go into that, is there any reason why you don't do social media, David?
I occupy my time with other stuff. I'm big into like crypto. So any free time I have, I'm watching like YouTube videos and stuff for crypto or researching it.
But I also feel like you can curate your social media. So if crypto is your thing, you can just follow a bunch of crypto pages, and that's if you're consuming it anyway. So I don't think it doesn't necessarily mean you have to post a selfie with the duck lips.
Like, Travis is trying to bring you into the dark side of social media.
Yeah. So maybe no, he's not going to get into it.
He's like, nope.
pretend. But you can listen to us both at Finance Fails and Cocktails, which is our podcast. We release new episodes on Wednesdays. What else? Is that it? That's all it is.
Okay, so your podcast is on like Apple Podcasts, like typically where you could find podcasts, right?
Apple Podcasts, Spotify. That's
okay. Those are the big ones. So perfect. Thank you so much for joining us. It was a lot of fun, and we hope to meet up soon. You know, a lot of people like coming to New York for trips, so.
You guys can come to Ohio, which sounds super.
Listen, we're trying right now. We've been researching like where should we move.
Have we told them that?
I don't think so.
So yeah, we've been strongly considering get the fuck up out of here.
Yeah.
Just for a lot of reasons, you know, the violence, the lack of space, and we've just been like, let's pick a state and go. So do you want to sell Ohio right now, or?
She definitely will try and sell you on Ohio.
Okay, Ohio is very cheap. Like our house is a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath. We paid $200,000 for it.
Wow.
We have a backyard. We have a front yard. We live in a cul-de-sac. We have a nice school district. So like for $200,000, all right. Get anywhere. Like we can drive anywhere. We do drive a lot. So I know that's a shift for New York. Like we don't walk places. But we've got like these gorgeous metro parks where you could go and see like bison or like a bald eagle or whatever. Like it's great here. Land.
Yeah. It's actually a good place to like raise a family. I appreciate that more now than I did growing up here.
We could use a little more diversity. Not gonna lie, like we could use some of that.
Oh, so you need us.
Like infiltrate the state. So we have some, and like we live in a pretty progressive city. So I appreciate like we had like a Black Lives Matter march like in our city. So like I can appreciate that a lot. So
Ohio?
Oh, Ohio, maybe. Honestly, I really want to stay home with River for like a couple of years. Like I'm not in a rush to go back to work. So that's why I'm also like, we can go anywhere, but Travis needs a job in IT. How's the market out there for IT jobs?
Intel, they're actually opening up a big office here, and like Amazon, they're moving here. A lot of companies are moving to Columbus, a place called New Albany. I think because the cost is so much better to live here.
Gotcha.
It's decided we're gonna go live.
We're going to Ohio.
We're gonna go live with David and Mesha for like a year.
Oh.
You got the room.
I'll babysit Ellington.
This is a solid plan.
Well, thank you again. You want to ask them?
Oh, David, Mesha,
do you still like us?
Yes,
of course.
We love you guys. Thank
you so much. I appreciate it, and we'll see you soon.
All right, have a good one, guys.
Bye.
Bye.